First of all, congrats on being part of a very, very cool movie. That totally works. So I am curious for both of you, when you're presented with, do you want to be in a Ryan Reynolds movie? Do you immediately think this is all part of an episode of Punk'd?
That's a good way to describe it, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like I feel like I was lucky enough to meet him once, and then I was like, that's it, we're done. That's career highlight. I never have to do anything else again. And then they came back with this. So it's insane.
Yeah, I think as well, there's just so many other great people in it too. Like, I'm a big fan of Jodie Comer too. So being in a film with all these great people is wild.
I'm curious, when you are presented with something like this, how much are you asking them questions like, please tell me about how gamers are going to be described or portrayed in the film? And how much is it sort of like, wait, I can be in a movie with Ryan Reynolds, I'm good. Just where do I need to be?
I'd say it's a lot more column B, Steve. But I think my fears for that were allayed when I had a call with the director and he was talking about the movie, and he like stopped and gave me time to talk about it and said, like, well, how do we do this? How do we make sure that we don't like do stuff that every other video game movie has done? And I was like, well, just don't put in all the terms and the cringy dialogue and stuff that people expect. Like, you don't need the name of the game in it. You don't need like X, Y, and Z all the time. And like just describing Let's Plays and things like that to him, he seemed very receptive. So it seemed like they just really took it on board and wanted to make just the best movie possible. And I think that comes across very, very well. They just wanted to make something that represented the gaming community the best that they could.
Yeah, I think their willingness to actually listen to us rather than just be like, here's your lines, this is what I need you to do. It was more of a, how can we make this work and feel the best way possible to fit so naturally into the film? I think they pulled that off really well.
I think that video games, when you look at what they've started with back in like the Atari age in the 70s to where we are now, it's incredible how much the industry has grown and what you can do. What are things that you would love to see in a video game that aren't there now, that maybe are on the cusp of getting there?
I think VR is the next big thing.
Yeah, I was going to say VR too.
We've had some stuff kind of dabble into VR, and it's usually like wave shooters, and there's a couple of cool games that try new stuff, but at the end of the day, they all still feel very video gamey. But Half-Life Alyx was the first one that came out that really kind of like set the bar for high-end AAA, big budget, like story-driven, character-driven action. And I feel like that's kind of what movies are always about. You always fall in love with the characters and the setting, and sometimes that's where video games fall short. Sometimes that's not their aim at all. But a game like Half-Life Alyx showed me like, oh, this can be incredibly immersive if we get to that point. And if you have those set pieces from movies, like literally on your face as you're looking around interacting with it, I think that's like a next level thing that we've talked about since like the 80s that is just around the corner.
Yeah, it's so immersive. Like every time I play VR, even if it's like 30 minutes, I take the headset off and I'm like, oh yeah, I was playing a game.
Yeah.
Whereas you can, like, instead of playing as the main character, you are the main character. I've seen crazy things where you can, I don't know, wear like a laptop on your back and then you're tracked in like an empty warehouse, but you're playing like a full first person shooter in VR, that kind of stuff. I think once they push VR to the max, it's going to be insane.
Yeah. I think movies and VR are going to like coalesce very well together.
I have not done this VR thing in a warehouse, and I am super jealous. That sounds
you should.
No, that's on my list. I think for both of you guys, you're very successful at what you do. I'm curious, what do you think would surprise people to learn about being a professional gamer, having to broadcast all the time? What are some things that would surprise people?
I think people think it's a lot more glamorous than it is, or maybe glamorous isn't the right word. I think they think it's a lot different than it is, that because you're giving people bite-sized chunks of your life and it's through the lens of what we do here, that you tend to have like a certain perception of it. The same way you watch like actors in movies, you feel like you get a sense for who they are. And while we're genuine to who we are online and we're not trying to like pull the wool over anyone's eyes, there's still elements of us that you don't know. You don't know us as people. We have our own lives separate to all of that. We interact with things in the real world that you never get to see. And I think that element of it is something that I've always tried to portray, that no, I'm still just a person, that I have my ups and downs. I'm not all happy-go-lucky all the time, that I have bad days and I sometimes I like to just sit around in my underwear watching TV all day.
I think that's also nice about our platform is we can be that personable. I think that's why people relate to us and other YouTubers so well, and that's why it's so good, so cool to have like that opportunity in the film, because I think that will resonate when people see us in the film too. They'll be like, oh, I know that person.
I think it's easy to like get big on YouTube and get big on any sort of platform by delivering bad news all the time and kind of feeding into that negativity. But I feel like we have a grasp on it where we try and promote the healthier, more positive side of things. And I feel like that goes a long way with people and kind of gels better and kind of creates that sense of community stronger than anything else.
On that note, congrats again on being part of a cool film, and good luck with the rest of your speed dating.
Thank you. Haven't met the right one yet.